You have feedback? All
Yeah.
right.
All right, so remember,
You gotta
just
leave it
press
on.
stop, yeah. If you finish, press stop, unplug it, and take it with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be around 2,
Iron should be coming soon.
hey, where's my pizza? Yeah, 2 in the night, I'm judging too.
You good for now? You good for now?
Unfortunately. All right, can you hold mine too? Yeah, go ahead and send it off. Mine's supposed to be my touch.
How was the speaker at lunch? Good?
Thank you. He's coming in.
How's it been so far today?
So far,
A little nervous first time or not really?
well, first of all, I was a little nervous, but the judge kind of like let us know that we won, so it kind of gave me a little more confidence.
Oh, okay, I thought they told me not to tell you guys that.
Yeah, they
Did he
told us
kinda
that, but like, some judges like kind of knew.
You kind of like see it or whatever?
No, like he told us, like
Oh.
he asked me, he told us.
Okay,
So like, that made us kind of feel a little more confident in
Yeah.
the second round. And we kind of like tight, it was like really tight, but
Yeah.
that judge did not tell us who won, so we didn't know.
okay.
But it made us feel a little more confident, like we were doing pretty good. So I guess we just trying our hardest and see how it goes, because we're planning to come next year. As you started, we just started a debate club not so long ago, so we just,
Oh, nice.
our first actual debate.
Great, you like it today?
Yeah.
Good.
So far,
What grade are you?
I'm in the 11th grade.
Okay.
Born as well.
Nice, okay, so you think you'll do it again next year?
Yeah, that's
Great, great.
What are your views on global warming, personally, out of the debate? Personally.
I think, so I guess you start with kind of whether or not you believe it's happening, right? There's people that don't even believe global warming is happening right now. So I believe it's happening. Then the next question is, what is the cause of it? And then there's people that believe humans are not the cause of it, that it's cyclical, there's much bigger factors at play. I think from what I've seen and read, clearly humans are at least partially the cause for it, right? Like, I mean, I don't think even the most astute scientists would say humans are 100% the cause of it. Clearly very big things happen and the world has gone through different periods of time when temperatures raise and down. But clearly humans have something to do with it, especially like over the last 150 years. So if you've got that, then the question is, what's there to do about it? Especially when, at our best, we're one country and we can't decide policy for the world. And you have the problem of the fact that India and China are countries that are growing very, very fast. They want to add technology and they want to give their people cars and electricity and the rest of it. And how do we tell a country who wants to get more, organized and create more fossil fuel emissions, stop, even though we've been doing it for 50, 60 years. And so I think the policy fix is very, very complicated. But, I think it's one of those, there's not a lot of issues in the world, I think, that are truly like global. Everybody needs to figure it out, right? Like our country can figure out crime for itself. Our country can figure out women's rights for itself. But global warming is not going to do any good for the U.S. to have that policy if no other countries follow it. So I think it's going to be very interesting because I don't think there's, outside of wars and resolving wars, there's not a lot of history of the world coming together to solve big problems. So it'd be nice.
Yeah.
But I think, it's a tricky issue. It starts from people understanding the world is kind of much bigger than it is themselves. Hey, Alan?
Yeah.
Hi, Ian.
Alright.
Anthuan was telling me this is your first day doing this, huh?
Yes, it is.
How do you like it so far?
It's fun. It's arguing, but.
Fun?
A little more educated.
Yeah. Fun compared to being at the beach on a Saturday, though?
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Oh, okay, so there you go. Me either.
Like salt water. I don't like swimming beach. I don't like getting the sand because I get sunburned.
Yeah, but then how about you bring all the sand back into your car?
Yeah.
And all
And
that?
then when you get out the water, you put your slides on, you walk, and the sand gets in slides.
Yep. Yeah, and then you do the shower, but it's still everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan either.
The pool, though. I like pool.
Pool's good. That's it. Debate and then pool, right? Yeah. So you guys know your, they're affirmative?
Yeah, they're negative.
Okay, great. So they had asked before you guys came in, they wanted to use the board. That's okay with you guys? That's okay with you? Okay.
Are we good for open process?
I'm sorry?
Are we good for open process?
Yeah, open process is when we can both ask the question when they ask.
So they told me that it's like, they gave me this little sheet here that it's gotta be one person. Would you guys rather do open process?
Yeah, like,
It makes us comfortable.
Okay.
It's their first time, so they like.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah. If you guys are more comfortable, that's fine with me. And I guess you guys probably know this because you, I think, even you guys are more experienced at this than I am. I'm not really going to be talking at all during it. I'm going to kind of be stopwatch, telling you guys when to start and stop. I'm going to try not to be difficult about it. If you're in the middle of a thought and finish a sentence, we'll do it that way. And then, I'll give you kind of some comments and feedback at the end. Well, yeah, it's take whatever time you need to talk or get set up, and we can, you'll be ready to go. Hey. You're observing?
Yeah, I was just sitting there recording.
Oh, okay, got it, great, okay.
You gotta find it. You feel me? And I picked up from the front of the ground in the middle. So we have all this information.
Gotta look cute for the
Okay,
camera.
hey, it all matters, right?
Yeah, it all matters. Yeah. Cause I know it'll be funny because we gonna end up watching this in class.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're gonna make them watch this in class.
So it may feel, I don't know how you guys are about that, it may feel a little embarrassing, but it's a great way to kind of get feedback and understanding. You never realize it until you watch, that you have little tics you didn't know about, you brush your nose, you don't even realize it, then you see it on camera and you know what to fix a little bit, because everybody's got them. So like a lot of what I do in litigation, I'm an attorney, you get a transcript after you do like a deposition, and you'll see all the bad habits that you have in the way you ask questions or the way you say this, that, every few seconds. You guys are just gonna.
What are you doing?
It's all been recorded, right?
Yeah, it's all right. I haven't heard you.
All right, so you ready? Same thing as first round.
Okay, we go for negative against.
You guys are affirmative, right? Okay.
You guys want to start?
Yeah, they're affirmative, so I think they all go first, right?
You guys start?
So guys, really quickly, I introduced myself, just so you know who I am. I'm an attorney. I work downtown in Miami. What I do, I represent corporations, officers of corporations, like the vice president, the CEO, directors, so like the board of directors of a corporation. So that's what I do. So I don't have a history in policy debate, but what I do most days is I'm arguing with opposing counsel, the guy on the other side, I'm arguing with the judge, arguing with the government. So, my plan here is, I don't think we're supposed to tell you guys who won, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give you some feedback. Some of it will, be policy debate driven, just from what I know about it, and they gave me a little training session. And more about it, it'll just be about how to be persuasive. In real life, you guys know this. I think these arguments are set up to be pretty even. But, a lot of times in real life, you don't have the better argument, you have the tougher argument. And then your job at that point isn't always to win, it's just to convey your views in a way that's persuasive. So, we'll talk a little bit about it at the end, but, rather than thinking a lot about how am I going to win this and that, just make sure that you understand your argument and you're getting it across in a way that you think is likely to persuade somebody. And that's really as much as you need to worry about. Chris sometimes works out for himself. All right, so I'm the stopwatch guy, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Jasmine, you ready?
Yes.
All right, so whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Judge. My name is Jasmine Jackson. I'll be your first affirmative speaker. And the affirmative claim is the United States federal government should substantially increase its economic and diplomatic engagement to people related to China over the implementation and enforcement of the agreement made at the 21st Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Affairs, the bilateral framework. So basically, the plan is that the U.S. will work with China to decrease CO2 emissions. I will go to my first card, contention on inherency, data report 2016. Experts in climate change policy warn that legacy will unravel quickly. The world then may have no way to avoid the most devastating consequences of global warming, including sea level rise, extreme droughts, and food shortages, and more powerful floods and storms. That could doom the Paris Agreement's goal of reducing carbon dioxide emissions enough to start off an atmospheric warming of at least 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, the point at which many scientists say the planet will be locked into an irreversible future of extreme and dangerous warming. Without the full participation of the United States, the world's second largest greenhouse gas polluter after China, that goal is probably unattainable, even if every country follows through on its pledges. And the experts say without the full participation of the United States, other governments are less likely to carry out their pledged emission cuts. But that target is already extremely difficult to achieve, but it can be done with very hard work and diligent work by every single country. This is my second card, which is contributing to advantages. Halting climate change now is critical to keeping warming below 4 degrees Celsius, which is 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit. If left unchecked, warming will cause sea level rise, species loss, and crop failures, threatening extinction. Klein, 2014. As global warming approaches and exceeds 2 degrees Celsius, which is 35.6 degrees Fahrenheit, there is a risk of triggering another nonlinear tipping element. Examples include the disintegration of the West Antarctic ice sheet, leading to more rapid sea level rise, or large-scale Amazon dieback, drastically affecting ecosystems, rivers, agriculture, energy production, and livelihoods. Emissions are rising so rapidly that unless something radical changes within our economic structure, 2 degrees now looks like a utopian dream. Wind demand will be surging due to population growth and growing demand for meat. And since crops will be facing not just heat stress, but also extreme events such as wide raging droughts, flooding, and pest outbreaks, the losses could easily turn out to be more severe than the models have predicted. When you add ruinous hurricanes, raging wildfires, fisheries collapse, widespread disruptions to water supplies, extinction, and global trying disease to the mix, it is indeed difficult to imagine a peaceful order society could be sustained. Basically, this is all the causes if we don't go with the plan and if climate change worsens. Basically, this is what happened. Okay. My third card, which is engaging China over climate change is key to broader cooperation. Hart 2014. Cooperation on energy is climate issues serves as a critical role that goes far beyond the energy and climate space. The energy and climate track has become the undisputed anchor for the bilateral relationship. The anchor should be protected against future political shifts in either nation. The steady progress on energy and climate change serves as an invaluable anchor for the relationship that also covers issues areas where the two nations have less common ground. Many heated discussions on security issues ended with someone commenting. And the United States and China have already achieved in the energy and climate space serves as proof that as deep as difference may be, the United States and China can eventually overcome them. I'd like to talk about an article that was on the New York Times about how climate change can drive extreme weather. In the article, it says the eastward flowing air isn't one of completely steady band. Slow-moving waves that travel from north to south often appear across the ribbon of air. It is those particularly large undulations that researchers link with extreme weather because of the intensely low or high pressure systems they bring with them. And this means that a region under the low pressure of these waves will experience intense, prolonged rainfall, resulting flooding. These regions under high pressure will be stuck with hot, dry conditions, conducive to drought and wildfires. German climate researchers found that the pattern of these fingerprints and real-world data for recent extreme weather events match simulations of the influence of anthropology greenhouse gases, indicating that climate change is indeed influential in altering the jet stream dynamics. That is it.
Across? Are you aware of the former relationships between China and the United States? What are they?
Trading-wise or just?
Just trade with China, that's it.
We're just trading with China. Okay. What makes you think China wants to work with us into working with decreasing the CO2 emission?
Because they're already doing it. We're in the Paris Accord. The Paris Accord is when these countries work together just to lower our CO2.
They've already signed the papers to agree to go with this plan.
Do you know, not so long ago, the United States shot warning missile towards China, and that decreases their political and traditional economically relationships?
I mean, is that
That was based on this year's.
Happened this year?
That was this year.
Yeah, we shot a warning missile to China, so that lowered like relations. And just recently, Donald Trump and China's president has been.
Is there evidence on that?
Yes, we
It's on CNN. Also, let me ask a question, Drew. You said the sea level has risen. By how much?
By 3.5
Where'd you get that information?
on our first.
Okay. When have there been any droughts or pest outbreaks due to the rise in temperature?
I mean, when it rains now, that always happens. Like,
But
when it
when-
rains now.
But you're basing it on your personal information,
Yeah,
but you don't have any physical facts.
But
I
when
mean,
has
that's
it?
facts, right? We live in Miami, right?
No,
Don't
no,
it rain?
you're basing it on theoretical facts, you don't have any
You're going off what
proof
you
or
have
cause.
experienced.
No.
Where's your facts that there has been pest outbreaks due to?
Another question, can you like restate your plan and base more if it's multilateral or bilateral plan?
It's bilateral.
Bilateral plan? So you're saying the Paris Accord doesn't have nothing to do with this?
No, because that's what we want to work with. We're not saying it don't have nothing to do with it, but we're saying we want to work with China specifically, not just.
But you clearly stated that, due to the Paris Accord, China's working with us, right? Because they were signed it. So it's not a bilateral,
That's bilateral. It's not.
no, it's multilateral because.
We're focusing on China.
You like to finish yourself?
No, I want to finish this sentence. First off,
Just finish the sentence though.
okay, all right, all right. But our plan says that we want to work with China to make a bilateral agreement. If you didn't know that.
The Paris commitment is a multilateral agreement.
But we're not going.
She said that you were the.
We're done. We're done. We're done.
Alright,
So guys, for cross, that's how you want to do it. You want to do it.
it's overly costly.
Okay, let's try though, I don't want people to interrupt each other. So
Right.
it should be question, answer, what was the answer to some question. If you guys want to trade off, that's fine. You'll find that you're going to be more effective in getting your point across if you listen to the other person respond. All right, tell me when you're ready.
Alright, my name is Anthuan and from American Senior High, I'm a junior, I'm a planner, I represented negative, constructive. My first plan, this, number one, first plan, China's, this plan is not necessary, China's CO2 emissions had peaked and are decreasing, green 2016. Something quite remarkable happened in China, the country's coal use grew more than 8% per year between 2000 and 2013, but 2014, coal use barely grew at all, and it's actually fell by more than 2% in 2015. The drop in coal consumption coincided in 2% drop in China's coal production and 30% drop in coal imports. The declining good news in the world, as I mentioned, carbon dioxide emissions fell by 2% in 2015, and it's just possible 2014 could turn out to have been the peak of China's carbon dioxide emissions. Two, climate change will slow down and it's more than a decade away. There's no need to drastically act now. Maybe 2015. But this is the third possibility that is real, human-made and not dangerous, and at least not for a long time. The lukewarm option was being boosted by recent climate research, and it is on site. Current policies may do no harm. For example, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and other bodies agree that the rush of grow biofluids justified the decarbonization measures and has raised food prices and contributed to rainforest destruction. Since 2013, 8 agencies such as the U.S. Overseas Private Investment Corporation, the World Bank, and the European Investment Bank have restricted funding in building fossil fuels plants in Asia and Africa that have slowed down progress in bringing electricity to the 1 billion people who live without it and 4 million who die each year from effects of cooking with wires. Okay. There is no evidence of biodiversity loss and climate change. The IPCC retracted in the findings about species loss. One recent article claimed that humans are turning the Earth into a lonely and very dangerous planet. Ecologists warns, but the bottom line is that the more we look, the more we find no evidence of being related to the global warming. This goes in hand to hand with what reported back in March. IPCC admission from new report, no evidence climate change has led to even a single species becoming extinct, along with now or was supposed to be the first extinct animal due to global warming, and suddenly wasn't deep sea shark fossils spanning 5 continents and 2 oceans. This discoveries add to the family tree of life in Earth in 2014. Researchers in California Academy of Science added to the welcome 2021 new plant and animal species to our family tree. Actually, there has been new species found: 110 ants, 16 beetles, 3 spiders, 28 fish, 24 slugs, 2 marine worms, and 9 barnacles, 2 octopus, and 25 dozen international collaborators. That means Our animals are actually not decreasing. Instead, they're finding new species that supposedly global warming has been denying and has said that we're losing species and a lot of species are going extinct, and that's not true. Also, working with China actually affects our alliance with Japan, meaning that we've been in alliance with Japan for 45 years since in World War II. Actually, going into an agreement with China might actually bring us into World War III, since we are allies with them and China and Japan are enemies. The U.S. President Donald Trump meeting next week with the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe may mark the start of the garnering Japan's support to push back against China's growing influence in Asia. In the face of rising China's invasion of North Korea, Trump's campaign comments, including abandoning Japan but pay more by upkeep of the U.S. forces of his Soto. He outward Tokyo about a rift in security alliance in Washington that has been the bedrock of defense in World War II. A tougher stance against China, however, and a call for Japan to play a bigger security role through a thumb-up axis, will fit and Abe's hawkish policies that include the military to operate more. Otherwise, it has been proven by the senior U.S. Navy that we clearly don't want to work with China anyway. China doesn't want us as friends, and we don't want them as friends. Not so long ago, the stated here, and during Trump's first 100 days in office, has been launched a warning missile against China. Obviously, China's not going to take that as like, oh, here, you guys shot a warning missile, else we're not going to do anything. That means we don't want to be friends. And plus, since in the past 115 years, America has been able to industrialize, and now that China is industrializing and increases the CO2 level, what makes us tell we want you guys to stop? We want you guys have to decrease your CO2 emission. There's no way we industrialize for the past 115 years. All that they're doing, we're going to tell them to stop. Due to the Paris, though, and as shown here, like at present, the Obama administration finds a different relationship to be with Russia, not with China. However, China remains the primary contraction for Japan's foreign defense policy. That means even if our partners directs somewhere else, China is not going to fix any problem out here. Plus, sometimes we even have to, it is proven that we have to concentrate on other problems like we have here inside the United States before concentrating on other things worldwide, like the Dakota pipeline problem that just happened recently in 2017. So that means there's other problems to concentrate on before going into other problems like, and it actually clearly states that we have 100 years of things to look at before we actually go into global warming and work with other countries. Also, many in the U.S. government have to come to believe that dependent cooperation with China on global issues such as climate change will directly benefit their management of the regional geopolitical challenges. Apparently, Secretary of State John Kerry still belongs to the school of thought Japan. However, releases even of these sets of issues could be linked. It is doubtful if we encourage China to exercise restraint in the geopolitical sphere in the Japan. If Japan actually feels negatively exposed to China's attitude and concern of unease, it is unofficially shared by the Obama administration. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that China is really not going to do anything if we work with them. We don't know if they actually want to work with us at the same time, even if they have a communist regime.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
That's it.
You want to finish your?
How much I have left?
That was 6 minutes.
All right, that's it. So.
Are you guys want to do cross?
Give us a minute.
Sure.
A minute prep time for cross examination.
Yeah, we can do that. You have some questions? Oh, hold on. All right, ready?
All right,
Okay.
let's do it.
So, are you aware that Watch 2014 has updated information?
You're talking about 2014 and have updated
Watch
information.
2014
Yes.
biodiversity?
Biodiversity has updated, you said in 2014, I have updated information about 2016.
Okay, are you aware that coral reefs are being bleached because of climate change? Coral reefs.
You don't have any data proving that, and I have
I don't
actual
have
data.
any data. I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think you do.
You don't have any
Where's
data.
your
That's my question.
I mean,
Take you out of evidence.
we try to get it. All right,
Okay. Shouldn't the fact that China is already decreasing CO2 emissions make us want to work with them more?
Well, since they're already, they can do it by themselves, we don't need to work with them.
But we're the second should work together just to.
Because we're the two high.
We're not friends with them anyways. We're working with them to actually
It's not
put
a
it,
friend thing.
it's actually,
This is
we're
a
working with them
life
to actually bring us into the
that's-
world.
Are you aware that our lives are put in stake?
It's proven scientifically, as stated in my statement before, that there is 100 years in time for actually global warming to affect us. And we have time to work on
There
that.
are
What?
100.
Yes, 100 years.
Okay. Are you aware that climate change can kill you? Do you know that?
A chance can kill you in 100
For any
years.
real effects that
For any
effects
real
take
effects,
place,
yeah.
it'll be 100 years from now, is what he's saying.
Okay, so you don't care about.
For any real rises.
I never said that
So
is that we don't need to work with China in order to.
Do you believe in climate change?
I do believe in climate change.
Are you
Well-
aware that climate change is like a big issue?
It's not though.
It's not.
There's only a 0.03 inch rise in sea level every
It's
year.
not gonna increase
Huh?
more. How you know it's not gonna increase?
Because it's improved.
Because it
in the past.
hasn't.
It hasn't increased in the past.
It's only done that one time before. That's what the whole climate change thing is.
Alright, we've got second affirmative, is that right? You guys typically go straight through, you take a break at some point?
No, let's take breaks. If they want to prep time, we can get prep time, but you guys want prep time?
If anybody wants to do that for any reason, we'll work on that, how to do it.
Give it to me. I'm not gonna say
And then
that.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna say it. Oh, it's on there. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, explain it.
Yeah, let's start.
No, I don't know how to say that. You don't have to say that. No. You don't know how to explain it? No.
Just go, just go, just go.
Are you ready?
Oh, wait, okay, so, Judge, I would like, my name is Laban, and I would like, I am here with my partner to explain to you the fact that climate change is an issue that we can be at now, and that we need to work with China due to the fact that China and the United States are the top two emitters, so with us working together, it will be a quicker process happening. Okay, so first, I would like to explain that first is, all right, so with climate change is going to, you know what, forget that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. All right, so okay, so first thing I would like to point out is that my opponent doesn't understand that climate change is the issue now, and I would like to read on it. Gill 2015. As emissions continue to rise unchecked, the risks are profound. Scientists fear climate effects so severe that they might destabilize governments, produce waves of refugees, participate the sixth mass extinction of plants and animals in Earth's history, and melt the polar ice caps, causing the seas to rise enough to flood most of the world's coastal cities. Basically, what this saying is that if we don't act now, the polar ice caps are going to flood the whole city. Like, because climate change is an issue that the more we wait, the more it happens. Like, the quicker, like, over time it happens. Even though it might not be happening now, it changes over time. It's not gonna stay the same the whole time. And also, once we hit 3.5, no, right now we're at 3.5 degrees. Once we hit, no, right, never mind. I'll take that back. to Davenport 2016. In China, the world's largest greenhouse gas polluter, climate change officials said that they intended to continue with the plans to cut carbon emissions regardless of Mr. Trump's plan. The Chinese President Xi Jinping has vowed under the Paris Agreement that the Chinese emissions will drop after 2030 and that China will put in place a national system next year to force campaigns to pay a fee for their carbon pollution. What is this saying is that climate change is happening now and that China has already started processing the way to lower our CO2 emissions. And if we work together with China, it'll make the process faster, and also it will also affect us, help us. And I can't think. Oh, my opponents don't understand the definition of the Paris Accord. The Paris Accord is when many countries come together to figure out how to lower our CO2 emissions. My opponent stated that the Paris Accord is a multilateral process, but our plan is to make it a bilateral process so that we can work together with China. So, but yeah, so yeah, I'm done.
Cross, we can get a minute prep time. Sure. Okay. I know, but a minute prep time.
I don't feel comfortable with this camera on. Sorry. I don't.
You want the rest? You can adjust your arm to the top camera. That's fine. Right, if you guys will have enough. We'll have a rebuttal after.
No, I don't worry about it.
Okay. I know where you're coming from. We've seen you way back here. I'm looking at camera. Is it ready?
Mm-hmm. Are you aware of what is the Paris Accord Treaty?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's when countries, 30 countries come together and discuss their issues. Next question. Can I have the next question?
Are you aware of what's a multilateral commission?
Multilateral is when more than two countries, like 3 countries come together.
So you're saying the Paris Accord is a bilateral?
No, I'm saying that it's a multilateral, but the thing is we're not doing a multilateral.
Barack Obama already signed the Paris Accord.
Okay, we have to exactly. Yeah.
It's already
signed.
It's been ratified, signed, and ratified, and it cannot be changed by Donald Trump.
Well, Supreme Court made a decision April 28th that Trump cannot.
It can't be ratified.
It can't be ratified.
It's already ratified.
Next
So
question.
you're saying you're trying to make just a deal with China while China already signed a multilateral plan with the Paris Accord. So you're just kind of like.
Can I talk now? Alright, like I was saying, I was trying to say that the Paris Accord is when all us come together, when all the countries come together, but China, our plan is saying that China and the United States come together, we fix the problem, and then we go with them, and then they pay the fee. Like it says that the Chinese President Xi Jinping has vowed under the Paris Agreement that Chinese emissions will drop after 2030, and China will put in place a national system next year to force companies to pay a fee for this carbon pollution.
I have a question. So you think that China will work with us after we shot a warning missile?
I feel like they'll work with us when they kind of money. They'll work with us when they trade, right? Right?
Because China's economy is mostly based off of their
something that you know will happen.
I know. I'm sorry.
Do you know, or
how do you know?
How do you know?
All right.
Yes, sir.
Can I use the restroom right quick?
Yeah. You gonna wait for her? You gonna wait for her? Yeah. When does the next round start? You guys know? Huh? Am I gonna listen to the next round? There's another round, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
round
debate
four.
after this.
I think it's 250.
I hope not, no, it's, all right, we'll.
I mean, not 250. 340.
Okay, 340, all right, so good.
I'm not.
I had 6 minutes or what?
You got 6. All right, set the motor ready.
Hold on.
Can I get my pen, please? To the class?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm ready to run. All right. The Chinese government cannot enforce reductions. They don't have a regulatory regime capable of doing it. China's central government is good at announcing targets to reduce emissions and even installing controls sometimes, but incapable of enforcing them. For years, China's leaders have promised to clean up the air for years. Inspectors have been bribed to ignore infractions. Local officials who are charged with carrying and sent out central government environmental decats often cannot comply, being ill-equipped to meet the ever-growing list of environmental challenges officials set for them. Sometimes they simply don't want to. Instead, they welcome polluters, often job-creating state-owned enterprises who will set up shop in their communities, bringing bribes, taxes, and revenue from fines with them. Air quality understandably worsens. My opponent states that we claim that climate change wasn't a big issue, but we never said that. The polar ice caps melting is just a theory and nothing more. The only polar ice cap, the only evidence that the polar ice caps will melt is the 0.03 inches that the sea level increased in the past year. If this continues, it will take about 100 years for there to be any real effect for us to notice it by the naked eye. The Paris Accord is a multilateral commitment which Barack Obama already signed and ratified, which means that we're unable to change it. A bilateral commitment will only be with us and China, which is theoretical, meaning it's not real right now, meaning that evidence is not plausible. Most of our opponents' evidence were not plausible, so their whole argument is not plausible. That's all I have.
Ross?
Okay, so can you, I just ask you, about the ratification, when did that happen?
When did it happen? When the Paris Agreement commitment was signed?
It's in 2016, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just gonna bring this up one more time. Well, the Supreme Court this year had already told Trump, don't, okay, never mind, just.
See, because that was on the
Yeah. I mean, it would never did.
Alright, so what is your definition of, wait, you stated that China and the United States are enemies.
I never said that.
You stated that.
No, I didn't.
I wrote it down when you said it.
I didn't say
What did you
that.
say?
I said that America shot a warning missile
No,
at China.
before that. I'm not talking about it.
Never said that. You can check my paper. I don't have that written down.
That made me say it.
So you said that China doesn't have like the money or like the technology to go like to enforce.
No, I said that their regime is unable to do that because their economy is based off of their industrial accomplishments. China is a country to where when children go to school, they learn things that they have to learn that they need to know when they grow up to work in factories and do other things. It's like an enterprise country. It runs off of their economy.
Okay, but we trade with them, so
Yes, we trade with them because it's It's
That
easy.
doesn't mean it's helping global warming.
It's cheap goods because their whole country runs off of their business.
You're saying that.
But we're in debt with them. Wouldn't that debt, wouldn't like, because we're in debt with them, wouldn't it make us, wouldn't that be a reason for why we should work with them?
No.
Plus, it inhibits our alliance with Japan at the same time.
Okay, wait, ooh.
So basically you're saying that China's basically like more focused on industrializing and keeping that, and that way instead of focused on global warming, which is affecting
A few years
everyone.
ago, China was a poor country. They're where they are now because of their industrial accomplishments. They haven't done anything to do it.
All right, so we jump right into the first,
Negative report.
rebuttal, right? Right. All right, this is gonna be 4 minutes, all right? 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and then no crosses now, right? Okay. All right?
So, as I stated before, it has been said that global warming, it is a real thing, but it has been peaked. It has been shown, as I stated before, that it actually has been decreasing by 2.5 in the past years. It has been decreased by 2.5 since 2015. Actually, I also included that there's no real evidence of biodiversity of local foods or hiking being shown by global warming and how it actually affects us directly. I stated while concentrating on working with China, we should concentrate in other problems that we have here in the United States and not so concentrated in global warming, even though it is a real thing and I believe in it. But there's other problems that we should take care of more carefully and we'll look after more, because at the same time, we gotta look at other problems that we have. For example, working with China might bring us in other problems bigger than that, like a world war. Working with China put us in a problem with Japan. Japan is one great, for 45 years now, since World War II ended, has been a great ally of ours. And China and the United States are actually not allies at all. Also, like my opponent stated, possibly the Paris Accord does not belong to multicultural. They want to change it to a bilateral convention between China and the United States, but it cannot be worked like that since they all included. Actually, 186 countries signed, so it actually proves it, and it also shows, as I stated before, that there hasn't been no change in the past 5 years or 11 years in the past years that they signed it. So there hasn't been no change. Actually, 0.086 degrees. That means we still have time for 100 years to actually think about, and while that time working on our own problems, and maybe come up with gated technology to work on global warming in the future. So actually doesn't really affect us at the moment right now. We could be working on other problems. Working with China is not really a big thing. After all, China is the number one world CO2 emissioner. They should actually work by themselves in their own country. But we can work on ourselves. We have the technology. They have their own technology. They can do their own thing. We don't have to work with them at all and become bilateral. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay. All right. 4 minutes.
Judge, you should go with the affirmative plan to work with China to decrease CO2 emissions. I'm just going to start off by rebutting his arguments about the plans not necessary CO2 emissions have peaked and are decreasing. That should give us a better reason of us working together with China, since they're already decreasing. Shouldn't we join in will we just decrease it? Well, since we are the top two emitters, we should join in with China to start decreasing CO2 emission instead of to just become a world leader, which we should be, and letting them do them and doing us when we could work together. He also said climate change was slow more than they could wait. I would like to use an analogy about how, like, cancer. Say, for instance, someone has cancer, you wouldn't want to wait until it gets worse and then try to fix it at the last stage. It's not going to work like that. You should start now. You should start getting chemo. You should start getting medicine and stuff like that. Just like with climate change, you should work on it now. You should start stepping up to the problem instead of just waiting until it gets around. And when it's to the point where you can't stop it, well, what are you going to do? He also said there's no evidence of biodiversity loss for climate change. There is evidence of water acidification, but I'm not going to access with evidence. Also, that's it.
Thank you. Alan, you're up.
Can I get a minute? So,
Sure. Sure. You can go when you're ready, though, Alan, because I'm not personal line already crossed. So keep going. Make sure I can stay on schedule.
We have more to do in 10 minutes.
Is that next round, 3:30?
I think it was.
Not that we go back,
okay.
All right, 4 minutes.
My opponent is still saying that we should enter a bilateral agreement with China. But what they don't understand is that our country's relations with China aren't good enough right now to do any discussing. In fact, like I said before, there was a warning missile shot at China just this year. And if you wanted to check if our relationship is or is not good with China, you can check CNN.com. They have it stated there. And if we can't get a country to just discuss relations, how will we get them to stop production and industrializing, to stop an imaginary flood that's going to come in the next 200 to 300 years? It doesn't make any sense. We couldn't get somebody to do that, even if our relations were good. It's not possible. Their whole country's base and core is built off of their industrial accomplishments. So it's impossible for us to get them to do something like stop doing the only thing that they're good at for a country that doesn't have good relations with them. That's all I have.
All right, great. All right, Jeff.
Sure. All right, 4 minutes.
Okay, Judge, we should go for the affirmative side. Let me tell you why. Because first off, the affirmative plan, it helps you for the future references. Even if it's not now, it helps you for like the future. Like you wanna think about the future and not what's gonna happen tomorrow, but we're gonna think about like past tomorrow or this year or next year. We're gonna think about like 10 years from now. And also, I want to state that my opponent brought up a new argument about Japan alliance. He didn't talk about the Japan alliance until until the cross examination, the last one. And I thought you're not supposed to do that because and biodiversity, my opponents keep saying that there's no evidence of biodiversity. Like you said, check CNN and you will see about biodiversity. Like the coral reef, the beach coral reef, polar caps, that's not a theory. My opponents said that polar caps was a theory. Okay, well, we'll see if it's a theory 10 years from now. Okay, so also I'd like to state that climate change. My opponent stated that to check CNN to see our relations between the United States and North Korea. I mean, not North Korea. What is it called? United States and China. But we're working with North Korea right now because we have a war between We work with, China, we work with China. You know, I didn't we work with China. So, can I stop laughing? This is my professional speech. I'm sorry, that is so rude. Okay, but like I was saying, yeah, we working with China to fight against North Korea. So, like, what enemy relations is it going on? But Judge, you should go for our side if you want to see your kids, the future kids, and the great kids. Yeah, you feel me? But yeah, if you want to see them in the future, or up in the above or something, living good, you should go for the affirmative side.
Thank you. All right, guys. So, was that right? You prefer the other side?
Yeah,
interesting.
it's easier.
That's interesting. So, nice job. I mean, this is, we were talking about before we started, this is not the best way to spend a Saturday in terms of having fun, but, you guys are here, learning. No, look, I think the reality of it is there's different types of, enjoyment, right? There's, having a bunch of ice cream until you feel sick. Or there's going to the gym, working out, and then you feel great later, even though you might have liked the ice cream. I mean, what you guys are doing here is going to the gym. You guys are getting better at this. You're thinking hard. I mean, I hope you guys find this fulfilling. It's fun for me to see you guys doing this because the reality of it is you guys are young. I'm 25 years older than you, but this is kind of how it starts. If you enjoy the process here of trying to persuade, of thinking through issues, listening to the other side and responding. This is a fun way to engage, and it's a fun way to kind of build a career. A few specifics. Jess Marie, I thought you were very, very good. Your information was good. You clearly prepared and thought about these issues. I know part of policy debate is that you guys are supposed to talk fast, right? It's about getting